everyone, I'm Filmmaker ML, aka ML El Agroubi. I'm on my way to becoming one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. Well, that's my hope at least. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so and click the bell notification to receive all my updated videos. Okay, today we are talking about short films. I wanted to cover how to write a short film and what short films are all about. What's the point of short films? Well, let's talk about that for a moment. As a filmmaker, producers, sale agents, the audiences, they need to see what you can do and what you're capable of. By making short films, you're giving them a taster of all of that, what you can do, what your interests are, how you can handle crew, how you can handle cast, and really what you can do with the budget that you have been given. For me, I totally believe that shorts should not be more than 10 or 15 minutes at most. I think when you're pushing it more than that and you can't tell a story within that time frame, that's what I was always taught, and I kind of went with that, and I've been so far, I think, rather successful with that. I think the shorter the better. I've been trying to squeeze them down. What kind of short films are there? Well, I would say you could split them into two, linear and non-linear. Linear storytelling is basically a story, so it goes beginning, middle, and end, and it has a very defined structure. Non-linear storytelling is a bit experimental. You'd see a lot of these at loads of film festivals. In fact, there are some film festivals that prefer non-linear films or experimental films.
What are your views on the ocean? The ocean represents life. What you think of the ocean is the way you approach life. Your love or hate, the taste or smell, to explore or not to explore.
But today I'm going to be speaking to you about linear films. We've all been taught that stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But in my perspective, I think short films actually start somewhat at the middle. If you're talking about a 10-minute film, I would spend about 1 minute just talking about the person's kind of old, ordinary life. I would spend about maybe 1 minute exploring the discovery or something that changes within their lives. And then I would spend about 5 minutes exploring that, and then I would end with like a 30-second or a minute-long twist. What do I mean by that? Well, let's just make up a story on the spot. I'm going to pitch you a short film really, really quick, just to give you an example. So let's just say that there's a girl in her garden and she's playing, but she's like visibly bored. She's walking around. Remember, it's a visual medium, so you need to show, you don't tell. Don't use dialogue to, make the kid say, "I'm so bored." No, just make sure that you're showing that the kid is bored. You can use the visuals to describe the old life, as it were. And let's just say she's sitting there and she's bored and she's out of her mind, and then she finds a little puddle on the floor, and she kind of looks down and she dips her head in and she takes a bit of the water and she drinks the water, and suddenly she's floating. She's moving off the ground. So that would be the discovery, right? So she's just discovered that drinking water from that pool can give her special powers and she can fly. So that was 1 minute of her old life, being bored in the garden, 1 minute of the discovery, drinking this magical pool water and learning that she can actually float. And then the 5 minutes would be dedicated to exploring that. So that's where in a feature film you would be, allowing the protagonist to hit different obstacles and how they overcome those obstacles. But in a short, you really don't have room for that. So let's just say this girl starts flying and she sneaks up and she goes up to her parents' bedroom, and she can see her parents, arguing, and she's like, "Whoa, this is really cool. I can see them arguing." And then she flies over, and maybe she gets hit by a tree, and and she stumbles a little bit, and then she keeps going, and she discovers, a tower, and in that tower there's a boy, and the boy is stuck, and the boy's like, "Help me, help me, help me." And she's like, "Oh, great, like, I'm gonna use this power to try and save him, And then as she kind of floats up towards the window, somebody sets off a cannon in the park, and the cannonball hits her and she falls down and she dies. And that would be the twist. So basically, that's your entire short film. Girl discovers she's got powers, flies, tries to save the boy, gets hit and dies. It doesn't have to be that morbid. It doesn't have to be that dark, but that's just to give you an example. You don't take the story from the beginning. You don't need to spend 10 or 15 minutes with her being like, "Oh God, Mom, I'm so bored. You guys fight all the time. I really wanted to save someone in my life," because there's no room for that in a short. So The next thing you would do is once you have your idea and you have kind of the stages you would like to go through, you would get straight onto final draft. That's what I use, and you would begin writing your script. So I'm going to give you a little rundown on how to write a script. All right, so you would jump in here and you would start with, for example, interior, exterior scene. She's obviously outside in the garden, so that would be an exterior, and we could say she's in the exterior scene, garden, and it's daytime because, you know, it's cheaper to shoot during the day. You don't need all those lights. We describe what she's doing. Magda is walking around the garden, bored. You know, she kicks a bucket over and pulls on a swing. These are things that will show her boredom. Obviously, we need to show it. We don't need to tell it, right? Actually, there's no need for dialogue here. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing she could say that would add to the story that I can think of. And then let's say she comes up to the pool and she drinks the water and suddenly she starts to float. So let's fill that in here a bit. Okay, and so at that point, we're going to say she moves up towards her parents' bedroom. And then here we can include some dialogue. Let's find a way to use the dialogue to better the understanding of this character. Great. So now that we've described kind of what the parents have said, we understand that Magda is now feeling a little bit inadequate, and maybe that's what drives her to save the boy in the tower, you know? So we've used the dialogue to move the story forward. We've used that scene to move the story forward, and that's what filmmaking is all about. That's what the films should do. If the scene has no use being there, if it's not moving the story forward, it shouldn't be there. If that conversation is not adding to the story, it should not be there. If the thing you're seeing is not adding to the story, it should not be there. You know, if you see a cup, you know, falling on the ground, how does that add to the story? What is that telling me? Nothing. So it shouldn't be there. Anyway, so she floats through the sky and she has these feelings of, you know, she feels that way because you've heard what she's heard. Then she gets hit by the branch. She's bleeding a little bit and she's like, oh. And then she continues on to this tower and she goes, oh, what's this? And then she can hear the boy. So here comes the boy. So, yeah, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Come save me, come save me, come save me. And she goes, just a minute. And there she goes. She's floating upwards and the cannonball comes out of nowhere. Pow, hit, douche, bang. That's the end. You pretty much have a script there. And what is that, 1 or 2 pages? A page in a script usually equates to a minute on film. So if you've got 1, 2, 3 pages, 3 pages, for example, that's a 3-minute film. Add a minute or a couple of seconds for credits. You got yourself a 4 or 5 minute film. Hooray, super. Apply to, you know, film festivals. You've done it, you've made it, whatever you've shot it on, however you shot it. And you know, the world is your oyster because now it just comes down to the ideas you have. Good luck. I hope that really helped. Take care. Thank you very much. See ya later.